Yeah,
right?
it's cool. It still gives people like look, you get a second look if a girl says, "Oh, I do jujitsu," or "I do like wrestling," or "I'm a fighter." Like you definitely get a second look, but not the way it used to be like 10, 15 years ago. I love that though, that it's starting to become more normal.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
not such a shock every time you hear it.
Welcome to Black Belt Beauty Radio, a podcast fueled by a passion to support your journey in developing your most beautiful and optimal performance in life. Each episode is driven with the intention to elevate your mind. When we elevate our mind, we elevate our life. So get ready. It's time to rise. Hey everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the Black Belt Beauty Podcast. I am so excited to finally have this up and off the ground, in motion. I am ready to go full speed ahead with it. And today's guest is actually as badass as it gets. So I'm kind of starting it off with a high note. Carla Esparza. Carla is, first of all, just a beautiful person. By profession, she is a UFC fighter. Carla is the first UFC Strawweight champion. She is, and that's the 115 division. She was the winner of the Ultimate Fighter reality TV show, season 20, 2013. She's currently ranked number 7, and she has a fight coming up December 30th. I'm hoping to get this out before then. But either way, I mean, pre-fight, post-fight, there's so many wonderful things to take from Carla's mindset, and I really am happy that I get to expose that in our conversation here, along with the fun female side of her. Carla she's as tough as it gets. She's dangerous. She's a weapon in the Octagon. She is a very well-rounded verse fighter. And at the same time, she loves to get dressed up, wear her makeup, and just really embraces that feminine side of her. We get into that and have a lot of fun in that realm in this conversation. And I really appreciate sharing that part of her. I mean, maybe a lot of fans don't really know that part of her, or people don't, are just not aware or don't get to see that side of her so much. But it's fun to share that side because I think oftentimes there's this separation thing that happens with female athletes and that soft feminine side. And I really love that Carla is such a wonderful example of the fact that there is no separation. She's a straight up woman and she just happens to be a very tough and highly skilled fighter of a woman. So we have fun with that. And yeah, I mean, aside from that, I just feel like there's a lot of inspiring gems to take from her mindset, her approach to life. She's a very happy person, joyful and composed. So as tough as she is in the ring, she's got this whole contrasting side of her personality and her character that I just think makes her a real badass. It's that 360 degrees of just awesomeness that you get from Carla. So without further ado, I'm so excited to share with you my conversation with Carla Esparza. Carla, thank you for being my amazing first guest on my podcast.
Woo!
I'm super stoked. I'm excited, and I want to get right into it because I think that we've discovered that you and I can talk for a long time now.
Totally.
We've been rapping out for so long, and I love it. But could you give our listeners a little breakdown of where you come from and, just your background, who you are?
Okay, so long story short about Carla Esparza, Cookie Monster. I am from Redondo Beach, South Bay, and I wrestled at Redondo Union High School for a couple years, wrestled in college, and started my fight career about 8 years ago, and now currently fighting for the UFC.
Amazing. Really quickly, what's Cookie Monster? Where did that come from?
I like that you ask after you got me a cookie.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is so cool. I got that name from, I've always had like a huge sweet tooth, since I was little, like chocolate, cookies, cake. My coach just one day just totally called me out. Never had a nickname before. And he was just like, Carla, you're like a freaking cookie monster. You're always eating cookies.
How old are you?
This was during my fight career. I think I was like 23 or something like that.
Cute.
So older, like never had a nickname before. And then this one just would not go away. Like I was like, stop calling me that. Stop calling me that. That's not tough. I want to be like the killer. Or Carla, like, KO, like some knockout, something dangerous.
That's
but
so funny.
I got stuck with the Cookie Monster, which I didn't like then, but now I love.
It's so cute. I think because you're adorable. I mean, you could be dangerous and adorable at the same time. I think it's completely possible, and you're proof of that.
It sounds like a Pokemon, like a little cute Pokemon that can like whoop you.
Totally, right? So, do you have siblings?
I'm actually the only child.
Your only child? What?
Yeah.
How was that growing up? Did you?
It's funny because people always ask me, they're like, Carla, did you have brothers you used to fight and wrestle with and this and that got you to be this way? And I'm like, no, not really. My dad actually always used to like play around with me and like, I think he wanted a boy or something. So he used to just like mess with me and like, just roughhouse with me a little bit, like sock me on the arm. Hey, I think that's kind of where I think he wanted me to always be tough and like protect myself. So I think that's where that came from.
That's really cool. I have 3 brothers. And as you know,
that's probably, I don't know if that's what made you so tough.
100%. 100%. I mean, I think that I definitely came out of the womb with some kind of, I don't know, ferociousness of my own for sure. Because my mom, I'll give it to my mom. She's a legend, man. She's a fighter for sure. In my family, we got that, the fighter in us, not professionally, obviously, but just fighters of life. I think that comes from my mom for sure. But then growing up with 3 brothers who you train with, my brother Mike, right?
Yeah.
Everyone holds her weight really well, and definitely, even though I am the older sister, we're so close in age that it's kind of like there wasn't older or younger in a way. And I think I'm going to give my brothers a lot of credit for the quote-unquote toughness.
And it's cool because you guys are probably like rolling around as kids, like not really knowing what you're doing, but still at this age, like we're all adults now and you guys are still rolling around on the mats, training together. It's really cool.
So rad to be able to train jiu-jitsu with my brothers and just, basically, do so many of the similar things that we were doing as kids, playing outside, doing all these things, but just as adults.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Adults. I think to be a fighter is it's a really unique individual and definitely a unique career path. I think it's extra unique being a woman. I imagine being a woman, a female fighter.
For sure. When
did this idea start to come into your life? I mean, I know you started wrestling in high school, right? What led you to wrestling?
I think I was just always really open-minded, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I've always liked sports and stuff. So I was actually playing basketball at the time, and believe it or not, because I'm like 5 foot tall. I love lifting weights for some reason, always. Like that was always a passion of mine. Like I was always naturally super strong. And I remember some of the football players or something saw me in the weight room. They're like, you're so strong. You should try out for wrestling. And I was always pretty open-minded. I'm like, what is this? And why not? So I just wanted to try it out. There was another girl there, and I didn't know what I was doing, obviously, first day, but I, like, threw her around, and I was like...
Freshman, or how old are you?
I was actually a junior, so I started pretty late.
Cool.
But I just jumped in, and I was like, this is really fun, and, like, they were like, the guys on the team, put bets. They're like, when is this girl's going to quit? When is she going to quit by? But I just fell in love. It was so fun, get in there, like, throwing people around. Obviously getting thrown around a lot, too, but that was cool. I loved it.
It's part of it. Question about being strong. Did you feel strong before there were guys telling you that you were strong? Did you feel strong on your own, or did they validate what you already felt, or did they kind of bring it to your attention? Like, you know what I mean?
You know what, like, brought it to my attention? My mom got me, like, a gym membership when I was, like, maybe 11 or 12, and I worked with personal trainer, kind of, like, learning a little bit of this and that. And what made me feel strong or realize that I was different than other girls was all the looks that I would get from all the guys. Like, and not just like, oh, this girl's hot, because I'm like 12 years old, or 13, or I was young. Yeah. It was like these guys, like, people were impressed, and people would come up and talk to me and like, wow, this and that, you're really strong. And it just kind of was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I didn't know if they were telling that to other girls. You don't know, because it's like your first time hearing something, but it just made me like realize like, oh, this is something that I like and I'm good at. Mm-hmm. And I think people tend to generally like stuff that they're good at,
Of course.
So I just kind of stuck with it and always had a passion for it. And that kind of led me to wrestling.
That's rad. My brother, Mike, one of the most consistent things he's ever said about you is how strong you are. You know, your power. And my brother, he doesn't throw those things around lightly. I mean, you know, everyone in my family it's as real as it gets. It's and he's always just referred to you as, you know, you're so strong. And you can see it in your videos. You know, you're doing some real shit with him, and it's gnarly. So yeah, I think it's obvious that you were definitely born physically strong, and then obviously there's a mental, but we'll get into that. So that's rad. So you got into wrestling, you fell in love with it. You got a scholarship, right? For
wrestling. And it was weird because I was on pretty much an all guys team in high school at Redondo, you know, with the guys just like throwing around. Like? Oh my gosh. Like, I actually didn't like care for it too much. I don't know, for some reason, like I've always liked that strong female energy. Yeah. But I didn't really know it at that point because I'd only been around the guys. But I was just like, these guys are like, they're gross. They make dirty jokes.
Especially in high school. Yeah. They're dorks.
Totally. They give each other crap. They give me crap. I'm like, these guys are mean. Like, they were cool and my friends, but they also give each other a lot of crap too. And not that girls don't, but in a different way. And then I remember going to college and being on this women's team, and I wasn't like the odd woman out. I wasn't that one like different person. It was like we were all here for the same reason, all love wrestling, all love to train. Most of us came from all guys teams. So it was like, now we're all together, and it was like a really different dynamic, but it grew to be one of the best things that I've experienced in my life.
That's rad. It was almost maybe, I imagine, the first sense of female kind of bonding outside of maybe you and, you know, people in your family, your mom, but just like that, like female tribe, right? Like some kind of...
Definitely. And like family, it's different because, you know, there's different age groups and people are far and you see each other on holidays and who knows what you have in common. I mean, some people are lucky enough to live down the street from their cousins, but I wasn't. So I never really had too much of that. I mean, I'd had best friends, this and that, you know, but never on like this strong, powerful level where we were all had this interest of something that was so like intense.
Yeah, and so unique and so kind of defiant to the norm of what, you know, a woman would necessarily be known to be doing, right? Like wrestling and women. No, you usually don't put those, or you definitely weren't doing that, putting those two things together back then. Now it's obviously we're in a different time.
Yeah, right? It's cool. It still gives people like look, you know, you get a second look if a girl says, oh, I do jiu-jitsu or I do like wrestling or I'm a fighter. Like you definitely get a second look, but not the way it used to be like 10, 15 years ago. I love that though, that it's starting to become more normal.
Yeah.
You know, it's not such a shock every time you hear it.
Yeah. Well, so that's, I mean, you're OG, right? You're pretty much, you've been in the game since the game's been the game, I feel like, right? I mean, again, I'll go back to my brother, Mike. Like you've known my brothers, both of them, or Mike?
I've known Mike for like at least 15 years, like half of my life, pretty much.
Wow.
Just turned 30.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You were there. You were at my birthday party.
I love the way you celebrate your birthday, too. You're like, it's my birthday month. I'm like, I love that. Celebrate your life. You're earning it. You're living it. You're surviving it. It's a party.
Exactly. I mean... I could talk forever about birthdays. I love it. And I love to make my friends feel special on their birthdays, too, because I'm like, I'm happy you're alive. Like, this is great, you know?
Yes, I can see you doing that. You're a nurturer for sure.
But, sorry, I went off a little bit. Yeah, no. I've known Mike for, like, forever. I actually used to play basketball down at the park, and there's a teen center there, and I used to hang out with his friends, you know, doing, I don't know, just whatever boy stuff, like... Playing sports, hanging out.
Skateboarding. Being a little troublemaker. Yeah. Probably, for sure.
So, and I would just go and play basketball, like, with the guys. And, again, kind of being, like, the only girl out there. Or rarely would ever see another girl. And it was just fun, though. Like, I loved it, you know?
That's so rad. Yeah. I mean, I think that because to essentially be in a male-dominant sport, even though there's so many. I don't even know if that's a valid statement now. Is it valid to even say it's male-dominant? I mean, there's probably more male fighters still at this point than female.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You have to, I think that there needs to be some kind of mental, you have to have a mindset that allows you to be in this game, right? And from listening to what you're saying, being on an all basically boys wrestling team and, being the only girl at the park playing basketball, you were, without even realizing it, naturally kind of grooming yourself in a way to have this mindset to be able to enter this male dominant sport, right?
Definitely. I feel like all the experiences I had before made it normal being the only girl in a room full of guys, like, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because I talked to I had a super emotional conversation with, like, a woman, when we were at, like, a bachelorette party of all things, like, when we were all on our way heading home, she's a female firefighter, and she just sat there and, like, got super emotional and, like, teared up. And she's like, I have issues where body issues. I want to look stronger because I'm like, I've never heard that before. And she's like, I don't want guys to look at me as weak and that I can't do my job. And I'm like, wow, I've never heard of that before.
That's so
but she's like,
interesting.
she was so proud of, like, what I'd done in my sport. And she actually wrestled a little bit too, but she was like, wow, you did this. And I'm like, you're doing the same thing that I'm doing. Like, you're groundbreaking.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of women that do this because it's hard. And maybe they were kind of pushed out of it because of society,
Sure.
like the way they look at it, like, oh, I can't do that.
Right.
But now women, like, that are groundbreaking, that are pioneers, are like, yes, I can. Yes, we can.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, I think now more than ever, I mean, it's the time of the woman. It's amazing. And I have an older sister and having my 3 brothers, boys, men, it's always been a comfortable thing for me. I've never felt inferior or superior. It's always kind of felt even to me. And I think that has something to do with the fact that I come from a big family where there was both brothers and sisters, and we treated each other equally. It wasn't, my brothers didn't treat me like a girl, and I didn't treat them like my brothers. It was just kind of like, we're just family.
And it's kind of crazy that you say that, because I've known other people from, like, big families, but let's say the dad is, like, this very dominating, like, macho man or whatever, and then or the males are put on a pedestal, even though the girls are outperforming them. It's like, oh no, the boy, like, this is a great. So they kind of, like, have that mentality of, like, okay, the boy is, like, above the female.
That's true. I can see. Yeah, I didn't have that in my family, and for the most part, we're raised by my mom, so single mother, raising us kids. And
so that's, like, the epitome of, like, a strong woman doing it on her own. Like, and that's why, like, even with Mike, like, I've always seen he's had such a respect for, like, strong women athletes in every regard. He's just, like, respects it,
Sure.
And more than, like, the average guy would. Just like, oh, that's cool, girls in space. He's like, no, this is dope. These women are doing this. Like, I love it. Like, he's such a good influence and supporter. And I'm lucky that I got back around him, actually. It's so crazy that life brings you back together in, like, different aspects. And, like, I knew him when I was younger, but then we ended up working, like, and training at the same gym in Gold's Gym, and just becoming, like, way closer friends through that. Cool. And it's cool how kind of life brings you together. And now he's my trainer. He's my strength and conditioning coach for my fights.
That's so great. Yeah. I think that's so cool. I know. I love that about life, right? Just, you never know. And, I think that relationships are so important, right? And when you have a good connection with someone, I mean, you never know where that's going to end up. And I know he thinks the world of you, and he's having so much fun, training with you. And I think, to be a really good trainer, just, you give him something too, right? Because you guys feed off of each other. Like, if you were just whatever, doing your thing and just like, I got to get this done. But you go in there and you're, like, ready to go. And that powers him up. So, I know how my brother does his thing. And I've seen pieces of, like, how you're doing your thing on your own and then even with him. So I imagine that being in the setting with you guys in that room must feel really cool. Like, you're just, and especially having the history that you have, like, going that far back. I imagine it feels really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a different dynamic to, like, work with somebody who you've known for a long time and who's always, like, who they believe in you. So it's, like, that extra motivation. Like, I would say that Mike is someone who really motivates me, and it's almost like, oh, I don't want to lose. Like, I want to make Mike proud. And you always feel that way about your coach.
Yeah.
You know, because you know that they're putting that into you, but it's even like on a bigger level, because I know he's like supporting me like for forever. So it's like the fact that he's a part of like this pot of like this potion and that potion that puts together like the formula to create this readiness for the fight. Like it's even more like, okay, I want to do well.
Yeah, well, you're both invested in each other.
Exactly.
I mean, if you watch him when you're fighting, girl, it is something to watch Michael. I call my brother Mike, when, you know, you're fighting or if like it just his, he can't sit. He's pacing. I mean, he's in there with you. I swear. It's like, give him elbow space. Make sure there's no kids around.
Oh my gosh.
The profanities that come out of the mouth. And it's all passion. So it's all like, it's
hilarious. I saw him watching Verdum fight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, it's so physical for him. He's just up and he's like, and I get it because I get like that too, man. I love MMA. I love the UFC. We talked about this earlier. I don't watch TV. I know Game of Thrones must be off the hook. I get it. Like everyone's like, gosh. But you don't have to watch TV. You could just binge Netflix. I'm like, no, I don't want to tube, dude. I don't want to sit there and like, unless I'm watching a film and then it's not like, okay, let's see what happens next week. The only thing that I'll watch is The Ultimate Fighter or UFC fights, or I love it. And I train jiu-jitsu, so I have like I friends with fighters, the whole bit. And so I, too, can get that sensation when I'm watching, people that I know and they're doing their thing and I'm up and I can't sit. But to be training you, that's got to be Michael. He's like fucking burning calories. Okay, wait.
Oh, my gosh.
And all this being said, you have a fight coming up in December. And I don't want to go that far ahead. I want to kind of go back a little bit and then get there. And by the way, all my bracelets, if anyone's wondering what that sound is, I'm not going to give a fuck because they don't leave my body. So they're going to be on every podcast episode.
It's like our little background music.
It's totally. No, it is. I'm going to ask you about that, but then I want to go back. So you have a fight in December, right?
Yes. And December 30th versus Cynthia Calvillo, if I'm saying it correctly, in Las Vegas. I think it's UFC 219. I wish I could say I know everything for a fact right now, but I'm personally not even mentally invested into it yet because I'm not quite at that camp mark, 2-month mark. So it's okay, because I've known about this fight for 2 months. So if I am obsessing about something for 4 months, it's just overkill. It's
I love that you're saying this because there's been this question in my head that I wanted to ask you. And so perfect opportunity. And the question is, when a fight is announced, when you get announced, right, that you're going to fight, how does that work? I mean, all of a sudden, does it just come at you? First of all, do you don't?
Well, it depends because sometimes you ask for a fight. Okay. Sometimes you can do it publicly, you win a fight. Hey, so I want you. And then it's not so much of a surprise. Or let's say there's somebody in the title contention or whatever. Sometimes it's a matchup, it's going to happen, but sometimes sometimes you can call and be okay, I want to fight so-and-so, or give them a list of people or whatever.
Yeah.
Your manager talks to matchmakers and then from there, or sometimes they come up you with something. Maybe you're on somebody's list and they're like, hey, do you want to fight so-and-so? And you're like, oh, okay. So it's a really quick kind of process and you're like, yes, I want to. Yes, they want to. Boom. Fight set up, and you have to wait till it's official, before you sign your contract, because nothing's set in stone.
Sure.
At that point, it's okay, I'm fighting this person, and for me, it depends depending on the profile of the fight. It can be 4 months out, it can be 2 months out, or it can be a short notice, 1 week out or 2 days out.
You could be stepping in because someone got injured or something. I mean, it could be anything, right?
So it's you never know. And then with this fight, I've known for a while, so it was just the fight actually got pushed back to a month later to when it was supposed to be. So I was okay.
Oh, really?
yeah, so I was like, oh shoot, like I said, nothing was written yet, so it was like, dang it. Now I'm like, when's, am I gonna get my
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
But yeah, so it was kind of just like, oh shoot, all right, well, I got more time now. So I actually had kicked it into like almost camp mode, and they were like, you got another month. So I'm like, okay, slow it down,
Yeah, well, okay, so let me ask you this. So when you find out, you get the word that it's fight time, like there's a date set and is there something that switches on that's just different immediately in that moment with you? Is there something
Definitely, like it puts like a lot of pressure on you because you're like, okay, this is happening. Like I have something, like I already have this goal this day that I'm like, it's happening regardless. Like
it's real now.
What I do from now on, it's gonna affect that day. So it's kind of crazy. And I've like this fight because I had so much time, and I've had to do that in the past too. Like, it's like, okay, slow down, don't focus on this. Like, I've never seen my opponent fight to this day. And I'm like, I'm going to wait until like another week or two, because I'm like, I don't want to be like, okay, she can do this, she can do that. Obsess over like, okay, what if this happens? What if this? Because like my mind just goes into like obsess mode.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, Carla, slow down. I tell myself that. And then it's kind of hard when you know about something, yet you're on a trip. So like before I defended my belt, like I fought like 5 times in like 8 months. So I was like really like burnt out. And then they were like, okay. Then the next night after my fight, when I was in Vegas, they were like, these 2 fighters are going to fight for the title next. So I'm like, I'm watching the fight knowing, like we talked about, you don't know who you're, this time I knew how I was going to fight this person. So regardless of the date being set, I knew this was my next opponent.
Right.
So I sat in Vegas the day after I won the belt, watching to see who am I going to fight next. And then from that date on, it was like, it was in my mind,
Right. I was going to ask you, we're kind of going to jump around, but that's kind of standard with any conversation I have with people. I don't know if we've said this yet, but I just want to officially say, so you were the first UFC Strawweight champion.
Yes.
Right. Female, obviously.
Well, female or male, because there's no...
Oh, shit, you're
there's
right.
no male strawweights.
You're right.
And I don't think there ever will be.
Educated. Yeah, you're right.
Now I'm the only weight class you can say that about, because they're adding the 125 division for females right now. So there's a 125 male division. So every single weight class, there's both except for mine. So it's
yeah,
cool.
girl. That's so cool. That's okay. Gosh, there's so many things, even just on that, there's so many things I want to tear into, but let me ask you this. Let's go to, you're on The Ultimate Fighter, and you're obviously the season winner, right? That was season 20?
Season 20,
Season 20, 2013. How did that feel? Like, just that whole experience?
Well, the way I describe it, it's like sorority house and jail put together, So you have like all these females and all this like craziness, but then it's like, and we have like some, like, it's not as restricted as jail. We get like to order anything we want off a grocery list. We get like the comfort of like a comfy bed or clothes, all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like the drama, you know? And it's like the stress of like, okay, I'm cooking eggs next to this person, yet I might fight them in a week, So most people don't even want to look at their opponent before a fight, let alone live with them or sleep next to them,
Such a mind game.
It is. So for me, I just kind of like try to stay focused, and it was kind of cool because we didn't have phones, we didn't have TV, we didn't have books, nothing. Yeah. So it was kind of like, it was in a way really nice to be unplugged from the world and books. Just focus on training.
Dang.
Yeah, it was kind of cool because they want more drama. You got to like more time to interact. Wow. They don't want to film you reading a book, Because
that's what I would be doing the whole time.
Right?
Like, just me. Book in my face. Total geek.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess when you say it like that, that makes sense. And at that point, you had already been fighting for how long?
I started fighting in 2010, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, right after I came back from my ACL tear. So at that point, I'd been fighting for like 2010, 2000.
Yeah, that's, okay, a couple years. And so when you got into the home, did you feel like you I mean, you must have walked in there with confidence because I don't know anything about the other girls that you were fighting during that time to know how seasoned they were or not. But did you walk in there feeling pretty legit?
Yeah, well, at that time, the UFC of women's MMA was Invicta. That was the top promotion for women. So for me, like, I was already at the top of the top promotion that had my division. So I felt pretty confident. I knew there was like a target on my back. Who doesn't want to be the champ? You know, it's not a disrespect thing. It's like, I want what you have. So it was like, okay. And I was supposed to fight right before the show was announced. And then my opponent, Claudia Gadella, she cut too much weight, ended up in the hospital. Oh. So at that point, like, they gave us 6 months before the show. So I had gone like a while without fighting. So I was like kind of nervous. You know, I was studying everybody, doing everything I was supposed to. And then on the show, it was like, they had picked the top 8 girls from the top division, and then the other 8 had to try out. So I knew that the competition was like going to be fierce, you know? So it was like, okay, you know, you have to be ready for anything. It's not like one fight where you just focus on that specific person. It's like anything can happen. So it was pretty crazy.
That's really exciting, right? I mean, how old are you at that time?
I'm not the best at math.
Neither am I. I'm sorry. I'm the worst at math. I forget the timeline of certain things in my life. Okay, we can actually skip that if you want. Especially math on the spot. Just fucking worse.
Yeah, I'm like,
You were not 30. Let's put it that you were just a little, okay. So when you decided that you were going to pursue a career in fighting, how did your parents respond to that?
I think they were used to it because of wrestling, and I'd been doing jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and I was training for a while.
Yeah.
So at that point, I didn't even know it was a career option. I didn't even know what MMA was. I was just like, oh, you know, it's just fun, you know, to do.
Because it wasn't even an option necessarily. Yeah. I mean, not, you know, there was definitely some things happening, but it was by no means obviously what it is now for females.
For me, it was just a fun thing. Like, I enjoyed it. I was like, this sounds cool, you know, and it wasn't a money thing because I lost money on my first fight. Not even on the camp. Like, I lost money, like, I paid like $900 in medicals, and I made $800 in the fight. And that was winning too. So when you fight, you get your show money and then you get your win money, which is usually like half.
Wow.
So I was like, man, this is awesome. It only cost me $100, you know?
That's insane. Wow. Gosh, okay. That's impressive. Because at that point too, yeah, I mean, obviously you're only doing it for love. I mean, right? Because you didn't really, incentive-wise, I mean.
For sure. Like, and that's the thing, you know, a lot of people have been like, oh, you're like the same person, you know, as before. Like, and to me, I got lucky that something that I happen to love ended up jumping into the mainstream.
Sure.
Because, I mean, even when I was fighting outside of the UFC, it was known, but not like the way it is on this big stage. So It was kind of like, yeah. And, you know, I just happened to get lucky where I could do something and make money doing it. Because if it was, I don't want to like say any other sport, but something that isn't as well known and, even like jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So people love jiu-jitsu, but you pay to go compete. You pay like $100 to go do a tournament, and you possibly lose on your first match and you're out, you know? And people do it because they love it, you know, not for anything else. But what happens if next year it blows up and it's on TV and people are making like 6 figures doing it or something? It's like
amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, that must have been so. Yeah, how did you feel when the UFC started, you know, basically invited women to come in and fight? Like, how did that feel just in you saying that? Was it like?
Well, I mean, you know Ronda Rousey, like you've done her makeup. Mm-hmm. So she was in a division 135, the first division that they let in. And as Dana White has said, she's the reason why they let women in. So it's so cool. But for me, you know, it was still very like, well, she's the reason they're in. Like, this is what it is. So I didn't have any expectations in my career time of like entering into the UFC. And then I got the phone call. And then I was just like, oh my God, no way. Like, this is crazy.
That must have been rad.
Yeah, at that point, like, I'd been fighting for a while and I just never expected it because it was like, I thought it took so many years for just that one division to get in. I was like, this is never going to happen. Like, maybe 5 years after I'm, like, done fighting, they'll be like, okay, women are in. I'll be like, I missed the boat. I was too old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. That must have been a really exciting experience for you. Like, to just, you had already been doing so much work, right? And again, almost with no incentive to grow, really. Like, it wasn't.
Definitely. I think that's how it is for most pioneers in any sport, baseball, football.
Sure.
Like the people in the beginning, they do all the legwork, they fight for beans, they fight for nothing, and then it gets famous later and people are making a crap ton of money and they're just like,
yep,
shoot, I missed out, but it wasn't, and they're the reason why it is what it is, but it sucks because they don't get to benefit from the fruits of their labor pretty much.
For sure, and they definitely set the stage. Yeah, no, I've seen that happen in pro surfing with longtime best friend of mine who's just an incredible, she blows, man, she's like, I can't even finish my sentence because she's so major, but she makes guys just break the neck, like looking back, and just, she charges on another level. And she's a pioneer, it happened. I mean, she definitely tapped into some of the money, but the girls now are just so much more fortunate and have so many more opportunities on all different levels, not even just money, right? Just exposure, period. She paved it and she got to tap into somewhat of it now, but then at the same time, she's my generation, she's a little older, so she didn't really get to experience what the girls are getting now. So
that sucks.
I know, it sucks when you've done all this crazy ass work, especially when it's something so physical. It's like you put your life on the line. She's, charging whatever. I don't call waves by face, but if you were going to, they're like 30, 40 foot face waves, right? Yeah. And just, and so she's always putting her life out on the line and not necessarily, and she's coming up short on dollars where, it's gnarly. So anyways, I've seen it firsthand very closely. So so I'm excited that you didn't miss the boat basically. And you're in there and you're still in there. You're so in there. Okay. What do you do? So fight's announced. And like you said, I heard you say a couple of times, okay, Carla, just calm down. You got to stay. And I feel that you do have a very kind of composed presence in all the times that I've engaged with you. You're fun and you're definitely bubbly, but there's always this composure. So there's two parts to what I want to ask you. What do you do to keep yourself in a calm state? What's your self-talk like? I mean, is there quotes? Is there, like, what do you do? How do you tame that part of you that can rev your engines and make things a little bit intense?
I think I just try to let myself slow down, like kind of like take a breath, like,
so you breathe.
Like, okay, I breathe and I'm just like, okay, calm down. This is going to happen. Like, I almost like talk to myself a little bit. Like, okay, just calm down. Okay, calm down. We're going to do this. Or before a fight, like people always comment on my face. I'm just like blank. It's just like, okay, focus. And then I let my mind go blank,
How do you let your mind go blank? Do you meditate?
No, I don't meditate, but maybe that's what I do, like, unknowingly.
Sure.
Kind of before I go out. And just kind of, like, looking at the floor, just like, okay, focus. And don't let the outside, like, distraction of, like, the fans, the walk, anything, like, take away from, like, the task at hand.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's a talent to be able to basically tune out the noise and just zero in on the most important thing. I think that is not necessarily easy to do, and it's definitely a benefit to be able to do that. So
and it's weird because everybody like functions on their own kind of
has their own process.
Exactly, has their own process. Some people like want to be pumped up. Some people like sock themselves in the face. I've known, like, on The Ultimate Fighter, I recently watched one girl who was like, made her coach slap her in the face, Barb Honchak. Slap me harder, like.
I must have missed that episode. I didn't see that. That's hilarious.
And it's crazy because it's like,
I mean, I can get it in a way, if you got to kind of bring out the animal, but
wake up. Or some people need to be angry with their like opponents, like, ooh, I'm gonna kill. Or some people need to be like, I don't know if it's fake or real, but like ultra confident. I'm gonna kill this girl. Or this guy. I'm gonna get after. I got this. Like, it's just everybody's like so different,
Sure. Do you ever feel fear?
Oh, every time. Like, every time I'm, like, so scared. And it's like I feel the adrenaline rushing through my body. And, like I said, some people need that confidence. I need that. I feel like the fear makes me better. Makes me, like, I'm on my toes. I'm, like, I need to survive. I need to do anything to survive. Because this person's, like, literally trying to kill me. And then the ref's there to stop her from killing me if we ever get to that position. But that's what you're trying to do, pretty much. Like, hurt somebody, like, to the point where they have to stop. They can't move.
Yeah, it's true. Exactly. I mean, you're in a cage. You're
like caged animals.
It's so true, though. I mean, and this has been happening, obviously, for years and years. You know, we can go back to, like...
gladiators.
Exactly. Like, on the day of a fight, you feel the fear, but you're just monitoring it and you're essentially keeping it in check, right?
For sure. For sure.
And in some ways, it kind of drives you. Yeah, I can see that, because you have the alarm in you, so you're alert, right? You know what's going to happen, and then that keeps you, I'm saying this, like, imagining your mindset in that state of, you know.
And I had a friend, like, I'm always like, I like to be humble. I don't like to get, like, overconfident. I'm always like, well, you know, they're like, oh, you're going to kick this girl's. I'm like, yeah, we'll see. I'm going to go and do my best. They're like, no. They're like, you got to say that you're going to, like, I don't ever want to hear you say maybe. I'm like, dude, like, that's my process. Like, back up. Like, that's just how I am. Like, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you telling me, like, oh, no, just say it. Like, if anything, it does worse for me, because I'm like, if I ever feel overconfident, that's when I perform worse, because it's like, oh, I got this, and my body doesn't go into, like, I'm not as sharp.
How I process what you just said, I imagine that you leaving that space open and not being, like you said, overconfident, it's not because you're anticipating the chance of a loss or something going wrong necessarily, but it's more so that you can stay loose so that you can address whatever needs to be addressed when the time comes, right? I mean, that's just how I heard it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely, like, the kind of the purpose behind it. Yeah. And, like, I am scared, like, personally scared of the loss. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if?
You do the
like,
what ifs.
I'll ask my coach, like, I'm usually, like, calm, like, the whole fight week, but at some point I'll be like, coach, what if this? What if that? What if that? And my coach, he knows, like, the drill. It's always the same. He's just like, it's fine. You're going to be fine. Like, this is fine. You know, then you'll do this. I'm like, well, what if she just hits me? And, well, then you'll hit her back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's
you have
so
all
funny.
the answers.
For sure.
So you're in camp right now.
I'm in, like, pre-camp. So
okay.
For me, a camp, like, a full hard camp starts at, like, 2 months. And before that, I want to be in, like, decent shape. So camp is not for getting in shape. Camp is for, like, pushing the pace, you know, and studying on specifics, like, for your opponent. And, like, pre-camp is, like, getting to where I need to be, to where, like, when you're in camp, you're not focusing so much on, like, oh, I'm dying and I can't get through this. Like,
you got to get ready to get to camp.
Yeah, you got to get ready to get ready.
Yeah, be ready to be ready. That's a real thing. I love that. I'm ready to be ready to be ready. So 2 months out. So you're getting close. You're, like, right there, right?
Yeah, pretty much a week or two. I'm right there.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, I feel like the adrenaline through my body right now. I'm like, oh, it's about to be camp. Like,
oh my God.
I feel that anxiety of, like, oh shoot, like it's almost time. Like,
it's about
to get real. On. It's about to get real.
Damn. Oh my gosh. So wait, can you walk me through what a typical day in camp looks like for you when it's actual camp mode?
Yeah, well, when it's camp mode, like, and it changed a little bit because I have my dog now. So it's like, I got to walk him too. So it's like extra, like, draining. So usually I'll, like, get up, make my breakfast, take my dog for, like, a good walk, go train 11, like, MMA on a Monday, like 11 to 1:30, go home, shower, ice up, make my lunch. And then from there, I'll leave the house at, like, 4:30 and then go train 5 to, like, 6:30 jiu-jitsu, 6:30 to 7:30 wrestling-ish, like, around that time. And then just kind of, like, keep going. Sometimes we'll switch it up. Coach will take over, be like, okay, we're doing MMA specific sparring tonight or whatever.
Yeah.
That's, like, a typical day. You know, it's just, like, eat, train, eat, train, sleep. That's
Wow.
it. And sometimes the timing in the middle is too short, but sometimes with injuries, like I have to head to OC Fight Doc and take care of like some injuries in between. So I'll have like 2 or 3 hours break, but I'll need to spend like 1 hour recovering an injury or something and then head home. So it's like, it's hard because like that break time, it's like not as much as like you would like,
Sure.
but it's a job.
It's a real job.
So on my rest days, I'm so exhausted at that point. Like, it's like, oh, do you want to go out to eat or let's go to this festival or do this or that? I'm just like, I'm not leaving my house.
I got tired already hearing the day, and I'm like, festival?
Yeah, because when I'm not in camp, I'm like, let's go do cool stuff.
Yeah,
let's go do
you're
haunted
active.
maze and this and that. And
yeah.
I love doing cool stuff, but when it's like, when I'm so exhausted, my friends at this point understand. I'm just like, leave me alone. Like, I love you, but I'm staying in my house. Even the company of having people come over, it's like, I got to get up. And it's like, I just want to like completely like rest my mind, rest my body.
It's important. You have to, right? I mean, if you don't recover, I think it was Horace Gracie that said this, resting is training.
For sure.
I love that statement. And that really sticks with me because I'm obviously active and I have to go out of my way to schedule my active rest days just because I love training so much and doing all the different things
that I do. It's like you wish your body could go like 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Totally.
An hour, and you never had to take a break or sleep or do anything. Like, you could just be constantly doing stuff.
Can I just do this all the time? Exactly. Yeah, sitting too long is hard for me, truly. But I love keeping that in my mind, that resting is training. And it makes so much sense. If you don't come down mentally, hormonally, I mean, all those things are such a factor in your performance. So it makes perfect sense.
And it's good that you like have other hobbies too that are like more of at least physically resting, like listening to podcasts and reading and writing.
Learning. Yeah. Growth mindset junkie. Yes, I love it so much. I can't get enough of it, which is why I had to start this bitch. So I want to ask you a question. So you're the first strawweight champion in the UFC. And you have your belt, which is an incredible feeling, I imagine. And then later comes a time where you lose the belt. How do you process loss? So you can tell me definitely about that particular experience, but also feel free to talk about just processing loss in general, maybe other times in your life where you came up short some way, but how do you deal with it?
I think every loss is a little bit different, depending on the circumstances. I mean, let's say in fights, let's say you lose a close split decision and people are like, you won that fight, you got robbed. So you kind of walk away like, I lost and whatever, but I have the backing of my people, and inside I know, for example, that I won or whatever. So it's a little bit different. Or let's say you just got bested by somebody and you're like, okay, that person's just better. I think it always depends on the situation. And with this specific one, I think I was like in a really bad place because
with the belt,
yeah, because I think it was 2 months after I won it too, and I like had fought so many times in such a short period, and I was burnt out mentally, physically, like emotionally. I was just like done. Yeah. And I felt like kind of pressured into this fight that I was like, I needed more time for, but I was like, okay, I guess, and I ended up having a horrible performance. So just going in there knowing that I didn't perform the way that I should have made me feel terrible. Losing something so amazing that it was like the high point of my career was a bad feeling. And then on top of that, tearing my shoulder, my labrum in my shoulder, and then being injured after that fight was like another thing that was like super upsetting. So like,
that's a lot to take on at one time.
Exactly. So it was just like, I was upset with a lot of things. I was really like just depressed and bummed out. And then from that point, it was like, okay, what do I do from here? Like, I can't even train and like work to get better. What's my release in life? Training, martial arts, is set, but I don't have that release. So like anytime I've gotten injured, there's a period of depression, and I would like to find a way outside of that, but I haven't yet, especially on a big injury, because you see like my career, the thing I do for fun, the thing that makes me happy. I can't do that. What else am I going to do? Like, it's like all these mix of negative emotions. So I was just in a really bad place for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then coming back from that loss was like very difficult for me because it just brought up so many, it was associated with all of these negative things put together.
How did you start to come out of it? Like, what was the process? Do you remember when you turned a corner, basically, from that moment? Was it when your shoulders started healing, you were maybe able to start training again, or like where was it with you?
I actually saw like a therapist like right like around that time because I was like so in a bad place and I was like I want to be better.
Yeah.
And actually the therapist really like I felt was not good at all and really didn't do anything for me. And not to say like therapy is not good.
Sure.
But it was just like I think the person wasn't good or maybe not for me.
You didn't connect with the person, right?
Yeah. And I was just like, I'm not feeling this. And then, but the fact that I kept going for like a few times because I felt good about getting up to go make myself feel better. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, I'm doing something that's positive, like trying to like, I don't know what the word is.
You were being proactive.
Proactive. Yeah, exactly. So that fact alone made me feel better. And then physical therapy, it's pushing my way through physical therapy was like, it's super challenging. It's almost like training for anything like a fight because you're like, it's something that's hard. Mm-hmm. You're struggling through, but you need to push yourself. You need to focus. And I think a lot of people like point their nose up at physical therapy and are just feel lazy about it or want to jump back, I just want to jump back into training sooner. But for me, it's like I've been injured so many times. I realize how important it is. Just training, and seeing those improvements every week, like, help me feel a lot better.
Progress.
Yeah. Exactly, progress.
Yeah.
On that note, made me feel better. And then, getting those little victories of now I can do this, now I can do this. And then in training, those slow victories, like, drilling, okay, I can do this. Oh, now I can do this. Like, I think I'm very, like, goal-oriented. So, like, that made me feel better.
Sure. Yeah. You're driven by feeling that you're not only looking towards something that you want to accomplish, but accomplishing things along the way there, right? Yeah. It's almost like your physical therapy was kind of like small wins.
Yes,
right?
It is like that.
It is, right? Small. I mean, I've had 3 knee surgeries and I definitely experienced physical therapy, but I imagine that with you, especially when you rely on your body, again, it's your career. It's your passion beyond even career. It's like, it's basically everything that you've been investing your life in up at that point, right? So you want to make sure that you're doing everything coming out of an injury to the best that you can so that you can re-enter your sport feeling confident and feeling really great, basically.
Definitely.
Yeah. I imagine, too, that I say this a lot, that we don't know how badass we are unless we've gone through some shit. Like, how else would you know, right? It's like now you can look back and you have reference points of things that you've survived, that you've conquered. So there's so much value in that, right?
For sure. There is value in it, but something that I, like, if I can avoid it, I definitely don't want to go through it again. I'm just like, stay away from this, which is actually, like, and I need to be more on my physical therapy now, like, of just strengthening little problem areas. But all these things and getting older has, like, pushed me to want to stretch more, warm up more.
Makes
like,
you smarter.
Bone roll. Yeah.
Right?
I think that's what kind of is, like, the evening out factor is, like, as you get older in anything, like, maybe you're not as physically, like, the way you were when you were, like, 10 years younger, but you're way smarter and more efficient.
You know how to use it better.
Exactly. So it's like, it evens out or even makes you that much better.
I think so, too, because, first of all, we have our biological age and then we have our chronological age, right? So you could be, 30, but biologically you could be a 23-year-old, or it could be the reverse. You can be a lot... If you're not taking care of yourself the right way, you could be 23 with an older body. So I think
Definitely.
Anyways, rabbit hole. I'll go down there. Okay. Would you say that so far in your career that's been the greatest challenge, losing the belt? What has
Definitely.
been? Yeah.
Like, that just, when you said that, I'm just like, yes.
And
automatic
you felt
yes.
it viscerally. You're like, oh.
Yeah, that's when you know it's just like, yeah, for sure. It's like nothing even compared to that. I mean, losses always suck,
Yeah.
But 2 losses that I've had have been like, okay, well, split decisions, that's always like some people are like, you won. Some people are like, you lost. So those you can kind of walk away from. You're kind of with mixed emotions. And then my first loss, I went against like the top pound for pound girl in the world and on 3 days notice. So it's hard to really feel bad no matter what happens with that fight. But I actually did really well. So I walked away like feeling content. So like this was actually the only like dominant loss where I was just like 100% hand down. You lost, you got beat, and you lost all this other stuff, which sucked,
Right. Yeah. Okay. But it keeps you hungry, right? Because I know you are, and I know you're ready to get it. So what do you do on days when you just don't feel like training? Motivation isn't always there, right?
I train. So sometimes you just gotta like suck it up and shut up, and this is my job, and I just gotta go do it and go through the motions. Not every day you're gonna feel like the motivation that you want to feel. Some days you're gonna feel terrible in training and be like, that's not me. I didn't perform the way I wanted to. I got beat. I got tapped out. This. And then some days you're gonna feel like, man, I feel amazing. I did everything I'm supposed to. But it's just like with any other job, you gotta show up.
Yeah. It's almost like discipline.
It's like mental discipline too, because there's going to be moments in life and in a fight and everything where like you're not in a position you want to be in. Are you going to like just quit and not do it?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not if you want to succeed.
Yeah. So it bleeds into all other areas of your life. If you're not
mentally practicing, like pushing through things that you don't want to do.
Yes. I love that. That's awesome. No, it's so important. That's what people, the days that I might feel tired and I don't want to go train, I am happier to even if I'm going to go halfway, it's just not skipping it. It's knowing that you're going to push past that.
Definitely.
I don't feel, just to keep the repetition and the motion. But like you said it perfectly. Just, yeah. Okay. We're going to switch it up really quick because I want to get to some girly stuff.
Yeah.
You're so cute. It's so funny. It's like, So, Carla is, in my eyes, you're definitely a strong woman. I mean, on a physical level, on a mental level, on an emotional level, strong. You are, I wouldn't even call you a tomboy, though. It's funny because I feel that there's so much of a girliness to you, like you love wearing your makeup. And from what I've seen, when it's time to go out, you've got your dress, you've got your lashes, you've got your hair. And I feel like you really embrace it. You really love it, right? So
I do. I always have.
Okay, cool. So is that through childhood or was that more recent?
When I started dressing myself, because when you're like mom kind of picture clothes. My mom is pretty laid back with like her clothes and stuff, but definitely when I started like getting a little bit older, like I always enjoyed like doing my makeup, and obviously I went through my bad phases where I wore things that were not cute, but definitely like a lot of experimenting with makeups and outfits and this and that. And I do like to be comfortable. So, like, on a daily basis, it's like, okay, I'm going to go train twice. So, in between, I like to be in something comfortable. But I love to go out and do stuff. And at that point, I'm like, let's do our hair. Let's do our makeup.
Do the whole thing.
Like, my favorite thing is, like, picking my outfit and working around some jewelry. Or, like, you find a jewelry piece you love. And you're like, let's build around this. Like, what outfit are we going to put together? You know what I mean?
That's so cute. I don't even do that. That's amazing. And I love when it's time to turn it on. But just even looking at you explain it, your eyes are lit up. It's like, you're ready to go. You're like, where are we going? Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. What makes you feel beautiful?
I don't know. I think just when you're all done up and you're just like, I think makeup and hair and outfit, especially when you live in such a contrast of like hair up and pulled back, sweaty t-shirts, and then you
bruises.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see and then you're just, it's like looking like at a before and after picture, or like, You know what I mean?
Totally.
You're just like, it's such a difference. And you're just like, wow, like, I love this. Like,
you're like, I clean up all right.
Yeah. Like, it's such a cool thing to kind of like see what all these changes can do. And it's not like putting on 10 pounds of makeup, that does, it's just like, I'm in a different mode. Like, it's like worker Barbie and then like party Barbie, like ready to go do this. It's cool. Like, it's fun.
It's so, I think that the process, when I'm putting on my makeup, it's not necessarily a party. It's actually very much like I'm meditating in a way, but I love it so much. It's very peaceful.
What a different approach.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
When I'm putting my makeup, I'm usually like excited, like, yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing this. Cause it's like, it's always like, for me, I rarely like put a lot of makeup on for just like going to the grocery store.
Sure.
Or this or that. Cause it's always in between training.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, usually I associate my makeup with fun times, like doing fun, cool things.
That makes so much sense. I love that. Yeah, I wear makeup, day to day, just doing my thing. I mean, I always wear mascara. I mean, the only time I don't wear, I wear mascara when I train jiu-jitsu. I wear mascara when I go surfing. The only time I don't wear mascara is when I'm doing my thermal, basically hot training, when I'm in a heated room. Do you wear makeup at all when you train? Or
zero? No.
What about fight day?
Fight day, no.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe fill in the eyebrows
I was saying not even the eyebrows. Like, I really like...
Maybe a little bit, but
so...
for the most part, no. And, like, I love, like, I was getting my lashes, like, extensions done for a while, and I love them because it's like you feel like you have this great
You're
makeup
awake.
on.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything. It's so, like, low-key, like, easy, but then it like, distracted from my training with, like, they would get in my eyes or, whatever, and I was just like, dang it, like, because I loved it, but...
I could see them falling off, and that would be horrible.
Especially when I get punched in the eye, and they're not, like, soft. So, like, those getting, like, rubbed in my eyes. Like, I'd had a teammate who, like, had her retina scratched from one of them. So it's, like, kind of scary. But, like,
sure,
if I could, I'd, like, it'd be nice to have something just, like, easy that makes you feel, like, so pretty.
What about a lash perm?
A lash perm? What's that?
Have you seen that?
No. Scooby, tell me.
So basically, you can get your lashes perm to curl up, and they'll stay up.
Wow.
My woman that works at the bank, when I looked at her, I was like, girl, your lashes look amazing. She's like, lash perm. I'm like, shit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and she's from Bali. She's, she doesn't have thick, long lashes, but just that lift.
Yeah.
The lash lift. I think that's actually what it's called, lash lift. It works. So... Wow. Just saying that could be the option for you.
Well, we need to, like, talk more about this after, because I want to get more details.
I got you.
Like, really cool. Because my eyelashes aren't, like, super long, but I think, like, that little curl.
Just a little lift.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, mascara. So I will say this about me. My favorite face is my face without makeup. I'm actually saying this on air. This is on air. And this little dude, this little thing.
We still haven't found a name for him yet.
This, whatever, microphone looks like a pet, and we're going to name it, but we haven't named it yet. So anyways, my face without makeup, my favorite. First thing in the morning.
Like an empty palette.
I look like a fucking baby. Seriously, I look like a baby, and I don't know. It's so, it's just me in the purest, rawest form. So... wearing makeup for me is, and I don't wear heavy makeup by any means, but it's me showing myself to the world. Basically what I'm trying to get to and making it a long journey is that private baby raw face is held only for the person who will wake up next to me. Or maybe my girls or whatever. It's not like my girls come over, I gotta put on my makeup. But, it's not because I don't feel confident or feel good. It's just because it's so sacred to me that you don't get to see it, world.
That's so funny. I thought you were going to say, because you're a makeup artist, I thought you were going to be like, because it's like a canvas and I can't wait to, like, create something on there. You're like, no. Just appreciate that that's, like,
it's my truest, purest self. And I feel like it's so special that I just don't want to share it with everybody. But that being said, you know, again, so when I'm surfing, I don't have makeup, you know, even just mascara, but I'm talking about nothing. The nothingness of nothing is reserved for only, you know, whoever the almighty person is. But I'm like, look, this is going to segue into love and boys and men really quickly. But I want to ask you, do you have any makeup products right now that you love and that you just can't be without, that are your go-to?
Like my go-to, like I don't wear like a lot of makeup, but like my go-to, and it's so funny because I'm not like loyal to like one line or anything, but like for my mascara, I like love the Dior, and I love like I have like I don't really put a lot of like foundation or anything on, but I use like a concealer from NARS, and I use their lip gloss, and like I also like the
great brands.
And if I ever want to like, if I'm ever going on a date, I'm like I could get a kiss, I'm like Victoria's Secret flavored lip gloss.
Oh, really? That's so cute. That's really cute, actually. That's really funny. Wow. Okay, cool. So, and if there's one makeup item that you couldn't live without, your desert island makeup. So, like for me, it's my mascara. What would yours be? One.
If I had to pick one, well, it's like a combination set. Like my fake lashes.
Okay.
And then my dark lash glue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So because it makes it look like eyeliner.
Duo.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a duo.
Yes, the Duo Dark. That's what I use on all my girls.
Duo Dark, yeah, that's what I use too.
Duo Dark.
There you go.
What do you do on days that you don't feel that beautiful? I mean, we all have those days, right? So are you just like that, whatever, it's just a day? Or is there self-talk or?
It's so weird. Like, it depends what I'm doing. Like, if I'm, it's so funny. Like, if I'm going out to like a club or somewhere and like, it's one of those days where you're doing your makeup or whatever, but I still don't feel like as pretty as I want to feel for some reason, I'm like, let's just let it up a little bit and even it out.
Yeah.
Or if I don't have enough time to do as much makeup, I'm like, let's even this out and be a little more hoochier. And it'll like, you know, because it kind of like puts everything on a level field.
Sure. You're like, I could crack this code. I'm going to figure this out. That's so funny. That's cool, though. You have technique.
Yeah, I think the clothes can, like, kind of counterbalance, like, how you feel, like...
I think you're right.
If you're having a bad hair day or makeup day or something. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Bad hair day. A good hat could work, too. Segue to love.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. Okay, so I would think that I definitely consider you an alpha female. You know, you're strong, you're independent, you got your shit covered, you know, you're a doer, a go-getter. How does that affect your love life, your relationship with men? I mean, do you find that men are intimidated often?
Well, when they find out, like, so people see me and they see this, like, oh, little thing, like 5 foot tall. Oh, she's so sweet.
I love how the voice goes. Little thing.
That's what, like, I feel like people look at me.
So they call you little thing.
Oh,
okay.
She's so cute. And it's like, oh, you do this. And then it's usually some disbelief, like, oh, no, like, oh, sure, you, like, not on what level, you know, like, oh, she must do cardio kickboxing or something. But then when they find out that, like, who, you know, what I actually do, what organization I fight for, like, who I am, then it becomes like, it's not even, it's a combination of sometimes of intimidation of, like, the fighting, like, the actual what I do, and then the status of, like, okay, you're not that I'm like some uber celebrity, but you know, just like people are like, you're known in your community, like people, you know, you have a fan base. You have
respect, you have a fan base, absolutely.
You know, so it's kind of like
You've accomplished a lot.
That's intimidating kind of like in its own right, you know?
Sure.
So I think it takes a man who's really like secure in himself to date a woman who has her own like success.
Sure.
So, and that's kind of hard because, like, a lot of men, to date a successful woman, period, is, like, difficult for a lot of men, I think.
To date a successful woman it's difficult.
Sure. But then on top of that, like, dating someone who, quote unquote, oh, they can kick your butt, ha ha ha. Like, those jokes have been told like a million times, but it's, you know, it's never going to stop happening when I'm with a guy. It's like, oh, watch out. You better like do what she says or she's going to kick your butt. Like, you know,
so funny.
It's like, dude, it's like,
really
I'm trying to make this guy feel like he's the man in the relationship. Like, calm down, you know?
Right.
So it's a little bit hard, you know, to find somebody who, you know, and then somebody who's not like necessarily like a big fan, but like who's with you for the right reasons too.
Of course.
So that becomes like a little bit of a challenge too. I've actually like gone on a couple of online dates where I found out like that they knew, you know, and it made it a little bit weird for me, you know? So it's a different place, you know, in my life now as opposed to like, you know, oh, I'm living at my parents. Let's go on a date and
sure,
you know, and
what do you think that what do you value most when you're thinking about, you know, when a guy has your interest, what holds your interest, you know?
What holds my interest with the guy, like, it's so weird. Like, I love a guy who makes me laugh. I love a guy who's like a man, like. So, like, I think, you know, we talked about before, it's like you need a guy who you feel like is like a man who's like tough, who like, because I'm a fighter, so I don't want to feel like I can like beat up the guy I'm with. Right. I want a guy who's going to be able to like stand up and protect me and like make me feel like a woman, you know, but when you're like, I'm a tough woman, like I'm up here. So it's hard. Like, so definitely a guy who's like confident and strong, like in his own regard, like, secure in himself, and those are the main things. And just like the chemistry of like hanging out with someone and feeling comfortable and just like the banter. It's like it's like no breaks, like you just get along really well. Like that's most important for me.
Yeah, that's rad. I love that. Laugh a lot for sure.
Yes, that's like so important.
Isn't it? I think that's like the number one thing for women. No, I'm not saying that as if I really know, but I imagine when a man can make a woman laugh, holy shit, it's something. Definitely. They unlock the I don't want to say too much, actually. We can't let all our secrets come out, right? Like, we can't let them know.
I'm like,
exactly.
Cover the camera. What is it?
That's so funny. I'll just say that I imagine that it's really interesting for you to have to think about the concept of wanting, you know, to be with the man and to feel safe. Or actually, let me ask you about that. What makes you feel safe with a man? Yeah.
I guess I feel safe and that's the thing. There's always somebody who can beat anybody, you know? So it's not necessarily like the best fighter in the world, but just like a man who's going to stand up for me, you know? Like, even if I could handle my own situation, like I want to know that the person I'm with has my back.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So it's almost more of like this loyalty in a way. I mean, outside of the physical is what.
Yeah, for sure. And like that makes you, I feel like, look at a man like he's the man. Like you're his woman and he's protecting you, and not necessarily like I need protection or anything, but just to know that they're there for it, like they're willing to be that, to play that role.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I connect with that.
Yeah.
It's weird. I remember when I first started training jiu-jitsu, I got into this phase where I was like, fuck, now any guy I'm with is going to have to train or something. Like, what am I going to do? Be with a guy who, if some shit went down, he's not going to know what to do. And it's weird. You know, when you know what to do I mean, I don't have all the answers by any means, and I definitely didn't by any means, and I definitely didn't at that point. But I imagine for you, when you have, you know, you're a mixed martial artist and you have all these fucking answers, and then to be with a guy who doesn't have any, or I'm just visualizing it. That's gotta be
like, hold on, baby, I got this.
That's gotta be so interesting, and for the man too, right? I don't know. I'm just letting my imagination go right now, and it's kind of crazy because we've already been through so many rabbit holes. Okay, cool. So let me ask you a few fun, random questions.
Okay.
Because I know we've...
Bonus round?
Dude, it's totally the bonus round. You're so great. Your endurance, and you've trained today. You're just, oh my gosh.
This is fun, though. It's just like
so
hanging out with friends.
I know. It's so good. Well, what they don't know is how much talking took place before we even hit record and went through, a whole...
practice round.
Just like we went through biology. We went
nutrition.
Through on so many levels. We talked about so many things. So my heart is full. My brain is excited. Let me ask you this. Childhood heroes. Did you have any?
Childhood heroes, like probably my dad and then Xena Warrior Princess.
Oh my gosh, Xena was pretty badass. I remember her.
Yeah,
she was special.
I would never miss an episode. I had a poster of her in my college dorm.
Really? You're so cute. She, you know what? She was that perfect blend of badassery, feminine, gorgeous woman who could just kick ass, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I loved it. She was so cool. And then she had her little best friend.
Oh, I don't remember.
Gabrielle.
Was she blonde?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I barely remember that. But I do, actually. That's so weird. That's so weird. Xena, that's cool. Rocky was always mine. Still is.
Rocky. I actually just watched all the movies, recently.
Really?
Yeah. They were cool. They were awesome. And I already did the Rocky steps, years ago. I felt like a poser. I'm like, I haven't even seen this movie yet.
That's amazing. Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way. That's amazing. Wait, how did that make you feel watching all... How did you feel the first time you watched Rocky? Was it...
I felt like it was almost been waiting to happen for so long. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And there's so much hype around it. So I was like, I don't want to, have too high of expectations. But it was awesome. All of them were.
So good. Are there any hobbies or passions, things that you love doing outside of fighting that might surprise your fans?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if these are surprising. I wish I could think, but I honestly love hiking. I'm a huge hiker.
That's right.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do when I travel. I'm let's find some really cool terrain or trail and let's explore. I'm a big explorer. And I love to just anything explore. I'm let's check out this awesome restaurant in this new country. This is cool. Love traveling. Just I want to see every aspect of the world.
That's cool, because I was going to ask you, gosh, you're just flowing into this. I was going to ask you, favorite place you've been so far in the world and a place that you would like to go to, your next ideal desired destination, if you can go anywhere.
Well, my favorite place would probably... Oh my gosh, there's so many cool different experiences.
I know, it's hard. That's when people are do you love Barcelona or Paris better? I'm like, you can't compare the two.
Yeah, it's crazy because the places are so different. I would say for the diversity, I loved Costa Rica because there were so many different things. You had zip lining and you had the hot springs, the mountain, then you had the beach, and then you had the rainforest, which is cool. And then probably also Ecuador, because it was kind of the same kind of deal, and it was more close to home because my family's from Ecuador.
Right.
So it was different experience with family and getting to try all these things and see where my roots came from.
There's some really good surf in Ecuador.
Really?
I haven't been yet, but I've seen it, and it's really, it looks really fun for me.
Wow, my family's from the coast too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've had a very close friend of mine who spent some time there and would just send me just incredible photos of when there were swells. And it definitely looks like a place that I would like to go visit. And hello, the chocolate.
Yeah, there's a lot of chocolate shops out there. It was cool. I actually
really
went,
good chocolate.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. The rainforest is something I think you have to experience. Because you can go in there for a week at a time or just go for 1 day or two and really get to be with the people, eat what they eat,
That's cool.
stay in the houses, really bare minimum, just bed, no light, electricity, just
wow.
bare minimum, but it's cool. And then these awesome hikes into the rainforest, it's just amazing.
Probably leave that feeling so centered and just alive.
Yeah. And you really get to touch on nature. If you have a good guide, you get to you rarely get stuff explained to you. Like, this is what this tree is for. This is used for medicine, you know, and I got to eat like an ant and a termite. It was just like, I'm only here once. Like, just do it. You know, it was cool.
You got to eat a termite?
Yeah. And they came like, so they busted open, like, not completely, but like stuck their finger through the termite nest. And they're all just crawling out, get one, eat it, and it tastes like wood. Because that's what they eat.
Because that's what they eat. That's so funny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's pretty brave. Eating bugs and shit.
Yeah. Well, I am a fighter.
Yeah.
I'm
but
so brave.
You're, I know, right? Exactly. You're so curious, so I love that. And I see that, you know, on your Instagram, I feel like you're always kind of adventuring. You have that way about you, which is...
Yeah, for sure.
It's great.
I love that. And if I had to go somewhere and explore, I really wanted to go to Africa.
Oh, really?
And, like, kind of check out the animals and see it up close and see, the culture shock. Because I think it's so different up there than it is, you know, over here.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been to Africa. I've traveled a lot around the world, but I haven't been to Africa. And you're right. I think that would be a real culture shock.
Yeah.
And it's cool to put yourself in those situations because it just puts perspective into play where you realize we live in a world, not just my neighborhood, basically. And I think it's healthy to do that, you know, to inject yourself in.
Definitely. I think it gives you some perspective.
Yeah.
In many different ways, you know, whether people live in a way that's like, they don't need all this crazy stuff, technology stuff that we have. And some people don't have as much. And you're like, makes you appreciate things more.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Appreciation is freedom. I'm a firm believer in that. Is there any favorite books or quotes, things that inspire you, things that maybe a book that really kind of was a game changer for you in your life? Anything?
You know what's funny? Something that it's not even a book that I read that I still have to read. But my dad always quoted the highly successful habits, 7 highly successful habits of successful people.
Okay.
And he would always quote it for me. You got to sharpen the saw, sharpen the saw, sharpen the saw. And my dad is huge on reading and reading different books. And he'd always give me lessons from books that he'd read. He'd be like, you got to do this. And he'd be like, I read in this book, you got to make finishing things a habit. So he's like, I didn't used to finish things. So he's like, I made a list of things that I wanted to do or said I was going to do, and I did them all. He's like, one was making Rice Krispies treats. And I'm like, yeah. So
that's right.
Yeah. And at that point I was like, sometimes when I would go on runs and I'd be like, oh, I want to stop. It's just right there. I'm like, no, run through. You have to finish. Finishing has to be a habit.
Rice Krispie treats.
Rice Krispie treats. But I love that. And it's dessert oriented, so help me remember.
Of course, Cookie Monster. That's so funny. What did he do or does he do?
He retired from Boeing, so he did satellite engineering. And he's had a lot of different career changes, but he really started getting into computer stuff when he was 30. So imagine starting over how old I am now, 30, right. Which is crazy. And then from there, he just studied. So he would take me to Chuck E. Cheese or somewhere fun for me to do stuff. And he would sit there reading his book. So self-motivated, every day, go to the coffee shop, read, study, passing certification after certification. And he's just so smart. And I'm so proud of him. And he did great things and passed 1 million certifications that are crazy hard. And now he's doing cybersecurity because he's
oh, wow.
Because it caught his interest. And he's like, this is awesome. Now he's teaching a group on the weekends and he has so much knowledge and, wants to jump into that career. A new career change at 65, it's
crazy. I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be this, I mean, it could be whatever you want it to be, right? But I think that your father sounds like you. I mean, just curious, right? It's this curiosity, or maybe you sound like your father without but, passionate and following his curiosity and pursuing whatever he's passionate about in that moment, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, for sure. And he definitely like puts the time in and does what he needs to do, does the work, and he always like pushes me, you have to constantly evolve, because then people in your industry are going to like keep learning. You're going to be left in the dust when, like, if you lose your job, you're going to be stuck with no job because everyone else has surpassed you. And I never thought about it until this like very second, but I guess that applies for fighting too. If you're not evolving, then you're left behind.
Yeah, you're right. It sounds like he has a solid work ethic, and that was a really good example for you.
Definitely. And I think a lot of things like we talked about are just people that you surround yourself with, even not like consciously, like you're not like, okay, well, they're doing this, so I have to do this. But you're just surrounded, like it becomes such a habit. Like everyone around me is working hard, so you're just like, this is just what I do. Right. Just keep going. You just push through this or just do this. Oh, everyone studies for 5. Okay, well, I'm going to study for this much,
Absolutely. It's so influence.
Definitely.
Yeah. I can say the same with my mom. There's so many things that I acquired from just witnessing my mother be my mother and do life the way she does. So that's rad. So it's almost like your dad was a childhood hero.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's so weird because I was always like, my dad, I love my dad. Like my dad's doing this. Like I always like try to be like him, but I never like put it in words like, my dad's my hero. Like he's like Superman. Like I was just like, I just listened to him and learned from him. He was more like a mentor and like a father than I was like something on a pedestal that wasn't real for me. You know?
Well, you had connection with him too. Yeah. So he wasn't this heroic person wearing a cape that was almost unrelatable and you just admired. He was your homie.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so cool. I love it. And your mom?
Super hardworking too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like loves education, like always goes back. She's still taking classes now. Like I always remember classes. Like they're definitely way different personality types. My mom's like for sure a hard worker, always been like above and beyond dedicated to me as a daughter. Like, what do you need, Carla? Like, what do you need? I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to take you to this class, gymnastics. I'm going to take you to this, basketball, whatever. Like, always.
Behind you.
Exactly.
That's rad. Well, so it's probably why you're such a solid woman. And you have that characteristic. Truly, it's really visible with you. I think maybe people have to know you more to experience to get to see that part, where I guess I'm coming up from my point of view where, I'm not an outsider. So I get to experience that you are that girl that if some shit went down, I can call Carla and be like, yo, Carla, so I ended up at some random, I don't know, fucking finish the story for me.
Some random bar in Africa.
Bar?
And I need you to come save me or help me get home.
Exactly.
I got you, girl.
Be right there. Exactly. You're that girl for sure. I could see that. So right on. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I know that you're not close to being done with fighting. Let me ask you this. What would you like to be remembered for when this chapter is done and you move into the next chapter of your life?
I guess I just want to be remembered as a pioneer, someone who really made a difference for women to come in the sport.
Yeah, well, fucking mission accomplished. I'm like, hell yeah, girl, you have done that and then some. So I'm so excited to witness you and support you on the way to your next fight and everything that comes after. And I love you for supporting me and doing this with me. Thank you so much.
I'm so glad I got to be a part of this with you. And this is so cool. And we got to test this little guy right here.
I know, the little
man with no name.
Little guy we have to come up with. You'll be back, hopefully.
For sure.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys, that wrapped my very first episode on the Black Belt Beauty Radio podcast. I'm so excited that this is actually taking place. It's a crazy journey. It's, exciting and it's kind of terrifying at the same time, but I love it. That's what lets me know that I got to go towards it. So there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed that conversation. I wanted to put Carla's social media handle out there for those of you that want to stay in tune with her journey and her process. I highly suggest it. She's so rad and just really inspiring. And I can't wait to watch her and support her in this next UFC fight of hers, 219, December 30th. So her social media handle is Carla, Carla, Esparza, Esparza1. Carla Esparza 1. That covers her Instagram and her Twitter account. So check her out. Thank you so much. And I look forward to the next one. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for taking the time to check out this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please share it with your friends. Head over to iTunes, subscribe to this podcast, rate it, leave me an honest review. Let's connect. I'm so excited to do that in this space and really create content that elevates your mind in support of your best performance in life. You can find me on Instagram at Black Belt Beauty. I'm active there every single day, and I look forward to connecting with you all. So thanks again, and I'll catch you on the next one.